My fiancée said, "I'm giving your motorcycle to my brother for his birthday. You're too old to ride anyway." I was 34 and had built that bike from scratch over 5 years. I said, "Touch it and we're done." She had it towed while I was at work. When I reported it stolen and her brother was arrested at a traffic stop, I, 34 male, am a machinist. I run a CNC lathe at a precision manufacturing shop that makes aerospace components. I've been doing this for 12 years. I make about $71,000 a year, which is solid for the trade. I'm good with my hands. I'm patient with metal. I can hold a tolerance of plus or minus 2/10,000ths of an inch on a titanium part. That kind of precision doesn't happen if you're a careless person. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand. The motorcycle wasn't a toy. It was a 5-year engineering project built by someone who machines airplane parts for a living. The bike. Let me talk about the bike. I started the build when I was 29. It's a custom cafe racer based on 1978 Honda CB 750 frame that I found at a swap meet for $400. Over 5 years, I rebuilt it from the ground up. I machined custom engine brackets, valve covers, and foot pegs myself at the shop after hours with my boss's permission. I rebuilt the engine, a full teardown, new pistons, new rings, new cam chain, lapped the valves by hand. I welded the subframe modification myself. I painted it in my buddy's garage over 3 weekends. British racing green with a single cream stripe. Total investment, approximately $14,000 in parts, materials, and services I couldn't do myself. Powder coating, seat upholstery, final wiring harness. That doesn't count the roughly 1,200 hours of my own labor. If I bill my time at even $30 an hour, we're talking $36,000 in labor alone. But I didn't build it for money. I built it because building things is who I am. Every bolt, every bracket, every weld on that machine has my hands on it. It is, without exaggeration, the single most meaningful object I own. The bike is registered and titled in my name. Insurance is in my name. I have every receipt, every part order, every photo of the build process organized in a folder on my computer. Over 400 pictures documenting the entire 5-year progression from a bare frame on a stand to a running, rideable motorcycle. My fiancée never liked the bike. She was upfront about that from the beginning of our 3-year relationship. She thought motorcycles were dangerous. She thought the garage time I spent on maintenance was obsessive. She called the bike your other girlfriend in a tone that was only half joking. I respected her concerns. I wore full gear every ride. I never pressured her to get on it. I rode maybe twice a month, Sunday mornings, short routes, back by lunch. It wasn't dominating our life. It was a hobby. My hobby. She works as a dental hygienist. Makes about $55,000. She's practical, organized, and has strong opinions about how other people should spend their time and money. When we got engaged about 8 months before this story, one of the first things she said was, "I assume the bike goes once we're married, right?" I said no. She said, "We'll talk about it." I said, "There's nothing to talk about. The bike stays." That conversation happened 3 more times over the next several months. Each time, her position hardened. It wasn't just about safety anymore. It was about maturity and priorities. She said a 34-year-old engaged man shouldn't be playing with motorcycles. She said the garage space would be better used for storage. She said she wanted to convert the single-car garage into a home office for herself. Each time, I said no. The bike stays. Then about 5 weeks ago, she brought her brother into it. Her brother is 26. He's a valet parking attendant at a hotel. He makes maybe $28,000 with tips. He's not a bad kid, but he's the kind of person who's always between things, between jobs, between apartments, between plans that never quite materialize. He'd been talking about wanting a motorcycle for about a year. He didn't have a license for one, didn't have the money for one, didn't have the discipline to build or maintain one. But he wanted one, and in their family, wanting something was apparently step 1 of a 3-step plan where steps 2 and 3 where someone else provides it. My fiancée sat me down on a Tuesday night and said, completely serious, "I've decided I'm giving the bike to my brother for his birthday. It's next month. He's been wanting a motorcycle forever. You barely ride it, and honestly, you're too old to be on that thing anyway. I'm 34. 34. I'm a machinist who can deadlift 315 pounds, and I play in a recreational softball league on Wednesdays. I'm not exactly applying for an AARP card. I said, you're not giving anyone anything. That's my bike. I built it. She said, we're getting married. What's yours is mine. And I think it's a generous gift that solves two problems. My brother gets what he wants, and we get the garage space. That bike is titled to my name. It's registered to me. It's insured by me. It's not a marital asset because we're not married yet. And even if we were, you don't get to unilaterally give away someone's property. You're being selfish. It's a motorcycle. He's my brother. I looked at her and said, very clearly, touch it and we're done. She rolled her eyes. You'd end an engagement over a motorcycle? I'd end an engagement over someone stealing my property. Yes. She called me dramatic and went to bed. I thought that was the end of it. I genuinely believed the conversation was over. That was my mistake. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday, I went to work at 6 a.m. like always. Came home at 4:30 p.m. Pulled into the driveway. Opened the garage. The bike was gone. The cover was on the floor. The battery tender was unplugged and coiled neatly on the workbench. The spot where my motorcycle had sat for 3 years was empty. Just oil stains on the concrete where it used to drip. I stood in that garage for about 30 seconds. Then I walked inside. She was on the couch, casual as anything, watching something on her phone. She looked up and said, before you freak out, where's my motorcycle? I had it towed to my brother's place. It's his birthday present. I arranged a flatbed this morning after you left. It's done. And honestly, once you calm down, you'll see this was the right. Who towed it? A towing company. I found them online. Did you sign for the tow? Yes. On a vehicle you don't own, aren't registered on, and aren't insured on? She blinked. That question hadn't occurred to her. I said, I'm calling the police. She laughed. Actually laughed. You're going to call the police? Over a motorcycle? They're going to laugh at you. My titled, registered, insured vehicle was removed from my property without my knowledge or consent. That's theft. It's not theft. I'm your fiancé. I live here. You don't own the bike. You don't own this house. Your name isn't on the title, the registration, or the insurance. You had a vehicle towed that doesn't belong to you and gave it to someone else. That is textbook theft. I called the police non-emergency line from the garage. She followed me out, suddenly less confident. She said, you're really doing this? And I said, I told you what would happen. You did it anyway. The officer who came was professional. He took my statement. I showed him the title. I keep in my fireproof lockbox. I showed him the registration. I showed him the insurance card. I showed him photos of the build process on my phone, proving the bike was mine. I gave him the description, 1978 Honda CB750, custom cafe racer, British racing green with cream stripe, specific modifications. He asked my fiancée for her side. She told him she was my fiancée and that we were having a disagreement about shared property. He asked if her name was on the title. She said no. He asked if she had written authorization to move the vehicle. She said no. He said, ma'am, that constitutes unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. She started crying. He didn't seem moved. He filed a report. Update 1, 6 days later. Here's what happened after the police report. The officer told me that since I knew where the bike was, her brother's apartment, I could provide that information and they'd attempt to recover it. I gave them the address. I also told them that her brother did not have a motorcycle endorsement on his license. The officer noted that. 2 days after the report, I got a call from the detective assigned to the case. He said they hadn't recovered the bike yet from her brother's address because her brother wasn't home when they went by. He said they'd try again. Meanwhile, my fiancée had moved from crying to full-blown fury. The night after the police report, she came at me with everything. You called the cops on my brother. Do you understand what you've done? He could get arrested. He's in possession of a stolen vehicle. Yes, he could get arrested. It's not stolen. I gave it to him. You can't give away something you don't own. That's like me walking into a dealership and giving someone else's car to my friend. It doesn't work that way. We are engaged. We are about to be married. Everything in this house. We're not engaged anymore. That shut her up. I took the ring out of my pocket. I've been carrying it since the day I found the garage empty because I knew this moment was coming, and I set it on the kitchen counter. It was a $3,800 ring. Modest by internet standards, significant by mine. She stared at it. You're ending this. Over a motorcycle. I'm ending this because you stole from me, ignored my explicit boundary, and your reaction to being caught was to tell me I was overreacting. Those are 3 separate reasons, and any one of them would be enough. She picked up the ring, put it back in a box, and said, I'm keeping this. That ring was a conditional gift contingent on marriage. We're not getting married. In this state, the ring goes back to the giver when the engagement is broken. Since when are you a lawyer? Since about 4 hours after you stole my motorcycle. I've done some reading. She left that night, went to her parents' house, took the ring with her. I documented that she took it, added it to the file. The ring was a fight for another day. The motorcycle was the priority. Now, her brother, the birthday boy, the 26-year-old valet who now had a custom cafe racer worth 5 to 10 times his annual fund budget sitting in his apartment parking space, did not contact me, did not apologize, did not offer to return the bike. Instead, he did possibly the dumbest thing he could have done. He wrote it without a motorcycle endorsement, without insurance. My insurance was on the bike, but I'd already called my carrier and reported it stolen, which meant coverage was suspended pending investigation. Without registration in his name. He just got on it and rode it around. I know this because a buddy of mine saw him. My friend was at a gas station and watched my bike, my unmistakable British racing green cafe racer that maybe 3 people in our entire metro area would recognize, pull in with her brother on it. My buddy took a photo on his phone and sent it to me. Her brother wasn't wearing a helmet. On my hand-built bike. Without a license. Without insurance. I forwarded the photo to the detective with a timestamp and a note saying the subject is operating the reported stolen vehicle without a motorcycle endorsement or helmet. 3 days after that photo, her brother got pulled over at a routine traffic stop. The officer ran the plates. The bike came back as reported stolen. Her brother was arrested on the spot. The charges, possession of stolen property, a felony in my state for property valued over $1,500, and operating a motorcycle without the proper endorsement, a misdemeanor. The bike was impounded as evidence. Not returned to me yet. Impound hold pending the case. That part hurt. My bike was sitting in a police impound lot. But it was better than sitting in her brother's parking space, getting ridden without a helmet by a guy who couldn't tell a carburetor from a catalytic converter. Her brother called my ex from jail. My ex called me. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail that I saved. The voicemail said, and I want to be precise here, my brother is in jail because of you. He didn't know it was stolen. I told him I was giving it to him. He's never been arrested before. If you don't drop the charges, my dad is going to make your life very difficult. You're going to regret this. My dad is going to make your life very difficult. That's a threat. I saved the voicemail, forwarded it to my email, and backed it up. Her dad called me the next day. Her dad is a retired parcel delivery driver. Big guy, loud voice. The kind of man who has strong opinions about loyalty and family and expresses them at a volume that makes your phone speaker crackle. You need to get my son out of this. Your daughter stole my motorcycle and gave it to your son. Your son rode a stolen vehicle without a license. These are consequences of their actions, not mine. He's a kid. He's 26 years old. He didn't know it was stolen. He received a motorcycle worth over $14,000 in parts alone from his sister, who doesn't own a motorcycle. At no point did he question that. That's not. You can't just. Family doesn't do this to each other. We're not family. Your daughter and I aren't engaged anymore. And even if we were, theft is theft. He called me a coward. He said I wasn't man enough to handle this face to face. He said he was coming over. I told him that if he showed up at my house, I'd call the police again. I had his daughter's threatening voicemail already saved. He didn't come over. Update 2, 3 weeks later. Last update. This one's dense because a lot happened in a short window once the legal system